The silence after the breakdown isn't empty. It's full of whispers you've been too loud to hear, full of truths you've been too busy to see. And if you're watching this right now, it means you've finally reached that sacred pause, that moment where everything falls apart just so something truer can be born. Maybe you're sitting there feeling like your entire world just collapsed. Maybe the relationship ended. Maybe the career path dissolved. Maybe you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. And in that stillness, in that terrifying quiet after the storm, you wonder, what now? Who am I without all of that? Here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. That breakdown wasn't destruction, it was revelation. The universe didn't break you, it broke the illusion you were living inside. And the silence that follows, that's not emptiness, that's the sound of your soul finally getting a word in. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening to you right now on an energetic and quantum level, why this had to happen, what the silence is actually trying to tell you, and most importantly, I'm going to reveal the one thing most spiritual seekers miss in this phase, the thing that determines whether you'll rebuild the same old life or step into a completely new timeline. Stay with me until the end, because in the final part of this video, I'll share the exact message your higher self has been trying to deliver through this breakdown, and how to decode the silence into your next aligned step. You didn't arrive here by accident, not to this video, not to this moment in your life. There's a reason why the algorithm, the universe, the invisible hand of synchronicity brought you here right now. Because you're in the space between that liminal zone where the old version of you has died, but the new one hasn't fully emerged yet. And let me tell you something most people won't. That space is sacred. It's uncomfortable. Yes, it feels like free fall. It feels like you're floating in the void with no ground beneath you, but that's because you're not supposed to be grounded in what was. You're being recalibrated for what's coming. The silence after the breakdown, whether it's a breakup, a career shift, a move to a new city, or just that inexplicable feeling that your entire identity is dissolving. That silence is not punishment. It's not a sign you did something wrong. It's the universe pressing pause on the noise so you can finally hear the signal. Most people panic in the silence. They rush to fill it. They jump into a new relationship, a new distraction, a new way to avoid what the breakdown was trying to show them. And so they rebuild the same life with different characters. Same patterns, same frequency, same timeline. But you're different. You're here because something in you knows there's a deeper message waiting. You feel it. You sense that this moment, as painful as it is an initiation, a quantum shift, a portal. This channel exists for people like you. People who are too awake to ignore the signs, too sensitive to live on autopilot, too curious to accept surface-level answers. Here we explore the invisible architecture of reality, where consciousness, quantum physics, and spiritual awakening intersect to help you navigate this inner journey. So let me ask you this. What if the breakdown didn't break you? What if it broke you open? So let's begin where you are right now. Energetically, emotionally, spiritually, what is actually happening to you? Here's the truth. Most spiritual teachers won't tell you. Breakdowns are not accidents. They're not random collapses of circumstance. They are energetic recalibrations. Your soul, your higher self, the quantum field you're embedded in, they're all working together to dismantle the frequencies that no longer match who you're becoming. Think about it. You spent years, maybe decades, building an identity, a personality, a set of beliefs about who you are, what you deserve, how love works, what success means. And all of that, every single layer, was coded into your energetic field. It became your signature frequency. It's what you broadcasted to the universe, and the universe, being the perfect mirror it is, reflected that frequency back to you in the form of relationships, opportunities, and circumstances. But then something shifted. Maybe you started asking different questions. Maybe you had a moment of clarity in the middle of the night. Maybe you looked around at your life and thought, this isn't me anymore. And in that moment, a crack appeared. Not in you, but in the illusion. That crack is where the light gets in. And once the light gets in, there's no going back. Your frequency started changing. And when your frequency changes, everything that was aligned with the old frequency has to fall away. It has to. Not because you failed, not because you're broken, but because you're evolving. The relationship that ends, the job that dissolves, the friendships that fade, they're not leaving because you're not good enough. They're leaving because they were never meant to travel with you into this next version of yourself. They were part of a story you needed to experience, not the story you're meant to become. And the silence after? That's the recalibration period. That's your nervous system, your energy body, your consciousness adjusting to a higher frequency. It's like when you're tuning a radio, there's that moment of static, that space between stations where nothing is clear. You're in that static right now, and it feels like chaos. But it's not. It's coherence trying to form. You see, the universe doesn't operate on your timeline. It operates on alignment, and right now, you're being realigned. Your chakras, your aura, your mental and emotional bodies, they're all clearing out old programming, releasing trauma you didn't even know you were carrying, dissolving contracts with people and timelines that no longer serve your highest path. That heaviness you feel when you wake up? That's not depression. That's density leaving your field. That exhaustion that makes no sense? You're not lazy, you're integrating. Your body is literally processing years of stored emotion, outdated identity, and inherited belief systems that were never even yours to begin with. So if you're sitting there wondering why you feel so lost, so empty, so unlike yourself, it's because the old self is dying, and the silence is the space where the new self is being conceived. Now let's go deeper. Let's look at this from a quantum perspective, because what's happening to you isn't just emotional or spiritual, it's dimensional. In quantum physics, there's a principle called superposition. It means that a particle exists in all possible states simultaneously until it's observed, until consciousness collapses it into one specific reality. And here's where it gets interesting. You are that consciousness. You are the observer. And your life, your reality, is constantly collapsing into form based on the frequency you're holding. Before the breakdown, you were locked into a specific timeline, a specific version of reality where certain beliefs felt true, certain relationships felt necessary, certain identities felt like you. But that timeline was built on a foundation of who you thought you had to be, not who you actually are. And your higher self, that version of you that exists beyond time and space, that part of you that sees all possible timelines at once, it saw the gap. It saw the distance between the life you were living and the life you came here to live. And so it initiated the collapse. The breakdown was the collapse. It was your higher self pulling the rug out from under the old timeline so you could quantum leap into a new one. And I know that sounds brutal. I know it feels like betrayal, like the universe abandoned you, but it didn't. It loved you enough to shatter the prison you were calling home. Right now, in this silence, you are between timelines. You're in what some mystics call the void, the gap, the space of infinite potential where all possible futures exist simultaneously, and none of them have solidified yet. It's terrifying because there's no script, no map, no familiar ground. But it's also the most powerful position you could possibly be in, because here's the secret: the silence is not empty. It's full of codes, full of recalibration signals from your higher self. Every time you sit in that discomfort, every time you resist the urge to fill the void with distraction, you're actually tuning into a new frequency. You're collapsing a new reality into form. Think of it like this. Imagine there are infinite versions of you existing right now across infinite timelines. There's a version of you that stayed in that relationship and spent the next 10 years resenting it. There's a version of you that ignored the wake-up call and kept living on autopilot. But there's also a version of you, the highest version, that has already walked through this fire and emerged transformed. That version is awake, aligned, living in flow, and that version is calling you forward. The silence is the bridge. It's the quantum field recalibrating your frequency to match that higher timeline. And every moment you spend in the silence without running, without numbing, without betraying what you know to be true, you're stepping closer to that version of yourself. Your higher self orchestrated this breakdown because the old timeline had a ceiling. You were going to hit it eventually. The relationship was going to limit you. The career was going to drain you. The identity was going to cage you. And your soul knew it, so it hit the emergency exit before you got too comfortable in the wrong life. Now, I'm not saying this to make it hurt less. I'm saying this so you can see it for what it is. A recalibration, not a failure. A quantum shift, not a collapse. You're not falling apart. You're falling into alignment. And the silence is the sound of a new reality tuning itself to your presence. The question is, are you going to trust it? Are you going to let the old timeline go even though it's all you've ever known? Or are you going to cling to the past and rebuild the same frequency in a different form? Because the universe is waiting. Your higher self is waiting, and the new timeline, the one that actually matches your soul, is already there. You just have to be still enough to hear it calling. Desenvolvimento. Bloco 3. Como se alinhar com a versão da sua alma que já está desperta. So how do you actually align with that higher version of yourself? How do you step out of the void and into the new timeline? This is where most people get it wrong. They think alignment is something you do, some technique you master, some ritual you perform. And while practices can help, they're not the core. The core is presence. The core is becoming aware of the frequency you're broadcasting in every single moment. Let me explain. Your higher self, that awakened version of you, already exists. It's not something you need to become. It's something you need to remember. And the way you remember is by releasing everything that isn't it, every false belief, every borrowed identity, every fear-based decision you made to fit in, to be loved, to stay safe. The silence after the breakdown is your opportunity to do that. To sit in the discomfort and ask yourself, who am I without the story? Who am I without the relationship, the job, the role I've been playing? And in that question, in that willingness to not know, you create space. And space is where transformation happens. Here's a truth that might challenge you. You cannot align with your higher self while clinging to your old identity. You cannot step into a new timeline while dragging the old one behind you. And yet, so many people try. They want the awakening without the death. They want the rebirth without the surrender. And so they stay stuck in the in-between, 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future, never fully here, never fully alive. But you're ready. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. So let me give you the real work, the work that no one talks about because it's not flashy, it's not instant, and it requires you to be brutally honest with yourself. First, stop trying to fix the silence. Stop trying to make it mean something or resolve it quickly. The silence is not a problem to solve. It's a womb. It's the space where the new you is forming. And if you rush it, if you force it, you'll birth a half-formed version of yourself that still carries the old wounds. Second, pay attention to what the breakdown revealed. What patterns showed up? What did the relationship mirror back to you? What did the loss make you realize about how you've been living? The breakdown is a teacher, and the lesson isn't life is hard or I'm not enough. The lesson is always, where was I out of alignment? Where was I betraying myself? Where was I living someone else's life? Third, start making decisions from your future self, not your past self. Every day you have a choice. You can operate from the frequency of who you were, the one who settled, who people pleased, who dimmed their light to fit in. Or you can operate from the frequency of who you're becoming, the one who trusts themselves, who honors their truth, who walks away from anything that doesn't match their soul. And here's how you know the difference. Your past self makes decisions based on fear. Your future self makes decisions based on alignment. Your past self asks, what's safe? What will people think? What if I'm wrong? Your future self asks, does this feel true? Does this expand me? Does this match the frequency of the life I'm calling in? Every time you choose alignment over comfort, you collapse a little more of that higher timeline into your present reality. Every time you honor the silence instead of filling it with noise, you're tuning into the frequency of your awakened self. Every time you sit with the discomfort and don't run, you're building trust with your soul. And trust is everything, because your higher self has been trying to guide you for years, through intuition, through synchronicities, through that quiet voice that says, this isn't right or there's something more. But you were too scared to listen, too attached to the familiar, too afraid of what it would cost you. Well, now the cost has been paid. The old life is gone. And what you have now is the most precious thing a soul can have, a blank page, a clean slate, a quantum field of infinite possibilities just waiting for you to choose. So choose consciously, choose courageously, choose from the part of you that knows, that has always known, that you are here for something greater than a safe, small, convenient life. Now let's bring this into practice. Let's take everything we've explored and turn it into something you can actually work with today, right now, in the silence you're sitting in. I want you to try something with me, not as a technique, not as a fix, but as a conversation with your higher self, as a way to decode the silence and hear what it's been trying to tell you. Find a quiet moment today. It doesn't have to be long, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however much you can give. And I want you to sit with this question. What is the silence asking me to release? Not what you think you should release, not what spiritual teachers told you to let go of, but what is your soul, right now, in this exact moment of your life, asking you to surrender? Is it an old identity, a belief about what love is supposed to look like, a need to control the outcome, a fear of being alone, a story about who you have to be worthy? Sit with that question and listen, not with your mind, with your body, with your heart, with that quiet knowing that lives beneath the noise. And whatever comes up, don't judge it, don't try to fix it, just acknowledge it. Say it out loud if you need to. Write it down. Let it move through you. Because here's what most people don't understand. Release isn't about pushing something away. It's about acknowledging it, honoring it, and then giving yourself permission to evolve beyond it. It's about saying, thank you for protecting me. Thank you for getting me this far, but I don't need you anymore. Once you've done that, I want you to ask a second question. What is the silence inviting me to become? And again, listen, not from the ego, not from the part of you that wants to impress people or prove something, but from the soul, from that version of you that already exists on the other side of this transition. What does that version of you know? How do they move through the world? What frequency are they holding? You might get an image, a feeling, a word, a knowing. It doesn't have to be clear. It doesn't have to make logical sense. The language of the soul is symbolic. It's intuitive. It speaks in whispers and nudges and sudden moments of clarity that feel like remembering something you've always known. And once you have that, even if it's just a fragment, just a hint, I want you to take one action today that aligns with that frequency. Not a big action, not a life-changing decision. Just one small choice that says, I'm listening, I'm here, I'm willing. Maybe it's setting a boundary you've been avoiding. Maybe it's sitting in stillness instead of scrolling. Maybe it's saying no to something that feels heavy and yes to something that feels light. Maybe it's reaching out to someone your intuition has been nudging you toward. Or maybe it's simply giving yourself permission to rest, to grieve, to feel everything without needing to fix it. Whatever it is, do it consciously. Do it as a ritual, as a declaration to the universe that you're choosing the new timeline, that you're stepping into alignment, one breath, one choice, one moment at a time, because that's how the quantum shift happens, not in one dramatic leap, but in 1,000 small decisions to trust yourself, to honor your truth, to act from the frequency of who you're becoming instead of who you were. And the more you do this, the more the silence will start to feel different. It won't feel empty anymore. It will feel full, full of potential, full of presence, full of the quiet certainty that you are exactly where you need to be. The breakdown brought you here. The silence is holding you here, and your higher self is guiding you forward. All you have to do is listen, trust, and take the next aligned step. So here we are, the end of this video, but not the end of your journey, not even close. Remember what I promised you at the beginning, that I would reveal the message hidden in the silence after the breakdown? Here it is, the message your higher self has been whispering through every moment of discomfort, every wave of uncertainty, every quiet morning when you woke up not knowing who you are anymore. The message is this: you are not lost. You are found. For the first time in your life, maybe ever, you are being found by your own soul. The breakdown didn't take anything from you. It removed everything that was in the way. And the silence? The silence is your soul finally having room to speak, to breathe, to show you who you really are beneath all the roles, all the masks, all the versions of yourself you built to survive. This is the message. You are being called home. Not to a place, not to a person, but to yourself, to the frequency you were born to hold, to the timeline your soul chose before you ever arrived here. And the silence is not asking you to have all the answers. It's not asking you to know what comes next. It's only asking you to be present, to trust, to let the old version die with grace so the new one can emerge with truth. You are in the most sacred part of the journey right now. The part where everything is possible because nothing is decided. The part where you get to choose, consciously, deliberately, courageously, who you're going to become. So don't rush it. Don't fill the silence with noise just because it's uncomfortable. Sit in it. Let it recalibrate you. Let it wash away everything that was never yours. And when you're ready, when the silence releases you, you will step forward as someone you've never been before. Someone truer, someone freer, someone aligned. This video ends here. But the process it awakened in you, that's just beginning. And I'll be here creating these portals, holding this space, walking this path with you. You are not alone in this. You never were. If this video touched something deep inside you, if you felt seen, if you recognized yourself in these words, then you're part of this community. This channel is a portal for seekers like you, people who are too awake to go back to sleep, too sensitive to ignore the signs, too committed to their truth to settle for a life that doesn't match their soul. So if you want to continue this journey, if you want more videos that speak to this part of you, the part that's awakening, evolving, remembering, then subscribe to this channel. Click that button not just as a number, but as a choice. As a declaration that you're choosing consciousness, that you're choosing depth, that you're choosing to walk this path even when it's lonely, even when it's hard. And here's what I want you to do right now. Go to the comments and write one of these phrases. I choose to awaken, or infinite positive possibilities, or share a recent synchronicity you've experienced. Something that showed you the universe is listening, that you're not alone, that magic is real. When you do that, you're not just leaving a comment, you're anchoring your new timeline. You're sending a signal to the quantum field that you're ready. And you're connecting with others on this path, people who understand, who see you, who are walking through their own silence right now. And if you want to go deeper, if this conversation stirred something in you that needs more, look at the videos that appear on your screen right now. Each one is a continuation of this journey, a different angle on the same awakening, a portal into another layer of truth. This is your moment. This is your initiation. And the silence is waiting to hear what you choose. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for trusting this process, even when it doesn't make sense. You are exactly where you need to be. And the universe is so proud of you for making it this far. Now go, sit in the silence, listen to your soul, and take the next step. I'll see you in the next video.